So, Sang, we are now talking about entrepreneurs, people that
Yes,
want to do business. And in particular, because I'm from the United Kingdom, we'll just focus on the Brits coming over to the US. There are
sure.
multiple opportunities for Brits to do well in the United States. But typically, what are the best visas that people can come over to the United States? Give me the lowdown.
Yeah, well, I think those individuals, and when you say entrepreneurs, I also, equate that with investors or individuals that are coming over to the United States to have what they call a market entry, right? And so, primarily with immigration, there are two main types of visas for, and we'll use this example, the United Kingdom. One is the E2 visa. And so for the E2 visa, that's a treaty-based visa. So if a country has a good working relationship, good diplomatic relationship with the country abroad, UK being one of them, and then an investor is coming into the United States, creating a US company that is going to be real and operating, that's not going to be marginal, meaning you're not just parking your money here, you're spending it, and then you invest a substantial amount. Now, substantial, we can get into the weeds on what that means, but substantial amount means something that is commensurate to the type of work that you're going to be doing in the United States. Then you'll be able to apply for an E2 visa. The big thing is you have to transfer or bring over a UK national, right? And also, that company in the US must be at least 50% owned by a UK source, right? Whether that's an individual or a UK company. But yeah, it's probably the most popular type of visa for individuals coming over if that relationship exists. Now, I have clients that have that option, especially from the UK, whether it's an E or the other one that I'm going to talk about, which is an L. But some countries or some individuals don't have an E2 visa option at all, right? I think about India, I think about China, I think about Vietnam, some of these Asian countries, some of the countries in South America or in Africa. They only qualify for what we call an L1 visa. That's the other type of visa that we see, and that's called an intra-company transfer. So how that works is if an individual has been employed abroad at a related company meaning a parent, subsidiary, affiliate, in a managerial, executive, or specialized knowledge capacity, and they're being transferred to the U.S. company that is in a managerial or executive or specialized knowledge role. Um, and that's regardless of nationality. So it's usually one of those two. Both of those visas have they can be difficult at times depending upon where you are. The big question that comes to our mind when it comes to which visa to use depends upon what stage the investor or the entrepreneur is at in terms of where they are along that process.
And you mentioned about the EG visa business setup. How quick can someone move over to the United States with an E2 visa?
Good question. I think that so setting up a company in the United States does not take long at all, right? It's some filing of paperwork and doing that. But an E2 visa, I was speaking earlier about that point of investment, right? The in your mind and my mind, we always think, how about you give me the visa, I get to the United States, and then I'll show you how much I can invest,
Mm.
right? But the E2 visa is kind of contrary to that. The US government says no. You come over first, you invest first. You invest your capital, your money at risk, and then we'll let you know whether you give the E2 visa. So depending upon again where you are in that investment process, where you are in setting up that company, it can take anywhere from 3 months all the way to 9 months, depending upon how that works. And that doesn't take into account the processing times. You
Mm.
have to mail all your documents to the U.S. Embassy in London, and that can take some time for them to review and then schedule you for appointment. So
Mm.
um, the E2 is one of those visas that I say you have to invest already before you even apply.
Yeah.
Um, the contrary is true for the L1, where you can promise to invest, but then they'll only give you a year worth of time to show that
Mm.
investment, and then you have to extend beyond that and prove your worth after.
Right. On that point, we talk. because my understanding, and it's a vague understanding, so apologies saying if this is completely wrong,
No worries.
but an E2 visa can never be a green card, but an L visa can be.
Yes. So I wouldn't say never, right?
Right.
But basically what it comes down to is the concept of intent is something that's very real in the US. There are certain temporary visas that are intended to only be for strictly temporary purposes,
Right.
right? And the concept is called dual intent. The L1 visa is a dual intent visa. In short, it means that you can um, be here temporarily and concurrently move forward with your green card at the same time. The
Okay.
E2 is traditionally not a dual intent visa. Now, there are still ways that you can apply for your green card, but there might be some restrictions to certain things like your travel that would be compromised in that situation.
Okay. So, in summary, because we don't need to go into any more detail than that, I think that's a fantastic source of information. But in summary, if you're going for an E2 visa, potentially 9 months, you could be in there, but you have need to have demonstrated that you have a business up and running, you have a sum of money that's already invested. Whereby an L visa, you have a time span of 1 year to prove that you have invested this money in order to stay in the United States. Would that be a fair summary?
I think that's a fair summary. I would also say both of them, though, require a really detailed business plan to
Right.
show what your growth is going to be in the United States during that time.
Perfect. And if people need to get hold of you, they're going to have the details right below this video. I
Yeah,
suggest you book
great.
calls and you get this done properly because I've seen a lot of people make mistakes on this type of thing and it can just lead to tears and a waste of time. So don't do that to yourselves.
Or at least get the right information before you plan out or chart out what you're going to do.
So true. So true. Thank you, Sang, for that.
All right.